Part of the difficulty of building the Mishkan or tackling any complex problem is sorting through the details and differentiating between Hanoi v'ha'ikar, the essence and the beauty of what we should focus on, contrasted with the tafel, things we shouldn't focus on. In Masechet Avodah Zarah, Rabban Gamliel teaches about a story where he would go into a building filled with material things, specifically statues. And by extension, we can learn about the various ritual artifacts that were used and built for the Mishkan. If the ikar, if the essence and focus of a kli, of a vessel, or of a stone or a statue, is that of an idol, then it is asur. It is prohibited for us to benefit from it. If, however, the purpose and the focus of the statue or the vessel is for aesthetic appeal and beauty, she'apesel tafel v'hanoi ikar, then it is permitted. The significance is in the care given to making sure that beauty is the priority. It's like taking a picture. You think that you can zoom in at any one moment, focus on one intricate detail that you might think to be the ikar, only to realize that when you zoom out and see the image as a whole, that you've missed the greater picture. If the purpose of baby supplies is just to help you get through the day, then you miss the ikar. The reason why we bathe and we moisturize and we just dress our children with such care is because it is about creating a beautiful and meaningful relationship with them. It is a way of communicating our own personal ikar with the ikar of our child. I would argue that Rabban Gamliel's understanding of she'apesel tafel, the hanoi ikar, also speaks to the complex nature of building the Mishkan. Like any complex project, building the Mishkan is not only about the building blocks per se, it's about beautifying the relationships that are created through our building. It is about bonding with our children, with our communal families, and enabling us to experience an element of God's Shekhinah, God's divine presence. In a world filled with complex problems, Dr. Gawande's checklist, like the one we have laid out for us in the Torah, is not simply a to-do list, but something that requires us to take a step back and think critically about the trouble spots. Lists emphasize the power, the importance, and the necessity of communication, of building and sharing trust between all of the players, and having faith in those involved. Checklists help us not to lose the forest for the trees. Ultimately, though, these lists help us clear mental space so that we can focus on the ultimate purpose of the project. Growing up, my mother was always making lists. Maybe that's how I turned out so well. She would take the cardboard inserts from the shirts that came back from the dry cleaners of my dad's, and she would jot down notes. Things to do during the week, things to pick up at the grocery store, a schedule for my siblings and I, where we needed to be at any given moment during that week. Or maybe it was to remind her to go back to the cleaners and pick up my father's shirts. I admit that I, also a list maker, sometimes get lost in the details. Yet often, these lists remind me of what is most significant in my life. I realize that my ikar, my core commitments, what those are, and what is tafel, the things that distract me. But the truth is, life is a complex problem. We often choose to focus on the minute details because they are easier to deal with than grappling with the larger complexities. It is easier to shift our focus away from the ikar so that we can avoid existential questions like, how does God exist in our world? Or why is this person dying from cancer? Or what does it really mean to build community, let alone an edifice? My passion for entering the rabbinate is a vision and a desire to go out and create community. To build it, not in the literal sense, but in a significant way. Entrepreneurial rabbinics, the focus of my energy in rabbinical school, has taught me not to get lost in the nitty-gritty, in the tafel, but to go right for what's complex and difficult, to face my fears and the difficult issues in the lives of congregations head on. And that's what runs through my mind as I think about my new role as an Abba. Yes, I admit that I'm concerned about the details of how often Eden eats, how long she sleeps. And I know that parenting is hard and that I'm going to make mistakes. Perhaps I'll focus too much on the tafel and not devote enough time to really getting to know her, seeing her ikar, and recognizing that I can continually build a relationship with her. The building with my daughter will take a lifetime, and it will always be filled with complexity. But I know that my job is never done, that my commitment to her, like with building community or even building a relationship with God, is eternal. And I know I will make mistakes along the way. All of this helps me realize my significance in the world. What's my significance? That my success will not be determined by how many lists I complete or how many problems I solve. It will be like the Mishkan and like parenting. How well I bring people together and appreciate the beauty and the essence of the world. And appreciate that God also knows just how complex things are. Rabbi Pinchas Peli, of blessed memory, professor of Jewish thought at Ben Gurion University, once remarked that the purpose of the involvement of all the people in building the Mishkan was to convert the people from passive participants in their relationships with God as a constant recipient of God's gifts into active partners. The detailed description of the Mishkan is a metaphor for all of the other complex tasks that we face. Being an active partner in building the world means engaging in all of life's complexities, even when they are difficult, with the hope that we will build something greater, something inspiring, and something holy. My cosmic significance, like the building of the Mishkan, is, simply put, complexly beautiful. What's yours? Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo.